Happy moment, and thank you for joining us on another Tale and Tune with TJ. I'm TJ. Of course, I got a lot of other titles, but I feel like right here we're kind of closer on a more personal basis, so you can call me TJ. I know you've enjoyed a lot of the other audios that I've done out there, but this will be our very first video. And what better way to do a Tale and Tune with TJ, make it my first video, than to make it with one of the people who helped to make sure that I got here in the beginning. I would like to introduce my mom. Mom, would you go ahead and give them your name?
My name's Karin.
So this is Karin, no middle name, Kellogg. This is my mom. My father, well, maybe my mom can tell more about my father. Tell us more about my father, but he didn't live much longer than my real young childhood. So, but this is my mom, and the other half to how I got here. Some of my siblings got here. So for this Tale and Tune with TJ, I would like for my mom to give us a tale. So, Mom, we're going to give it to you now.
Hi. This story is actually true. And I don't think we need to change names or anything, but they're true events. And actually it's apropos because it does say a lot about how he's still here today. So what happened was I was invited out on a date, and we went out to a restaurant, and we came home. Now, while we were out, my brother-in-law was in charge of babysitting. At the time, there were just two little ones. I had Terry's oldest brother, who was just, they call them Irish twins. They were very close in age. One was a year and maybe a few months, and Terry was still being nursed at the time, so he was like 9 or 10 months. And I had bathed them and nursed him and made sure they had everything they needed and put them to bed at Grandma's house. And my brother-in-law, who lived there, he was put in charge to watch them till we returned. So I remember that was a night that me and my friend who invited me out, we had gone out to, I believe it was Olive Garden or one of those kind of Red Lobster. And it was a really nice time. We had only been out for maybe 2 hours or so. And on our way back home, we sat out my grandmother's house on the steps and were talking for a while. At the time, I was still a smoker. And so I had gone into my purse, I think, and was taking out a cigarette or something. And I was standing up to the door about to go in, and at the same time, just kind of, flick your big, like I'm going to light this cigarette. Something stopped me. And I don't mean like physically. It wasn't anything in my hand, or the person I was with didn't stop me. But you ever get this tingling sensation that's like, don't do that or don't go there. But as I was about to, I was stopped. And so I didn't. I didn't know what was the reason, but I obeyed it. This feeling that was like, don't do that. So I put everything back in my purse, and of course I didn't really shrug it off. It was like, I don't know what that was about. And I put my key in the door, and I go to open the door, and I mean, it was such a wave of a very rotten, eggy smell. It was gas in the house, full, the house. For that to hit me so hard, it about knocked me down the stairs. And the friend that I was with was like, what's wrong? What was that? And all I could think was, my babies. So I ran into my grandmother's house, and the smell was so strong. I was so concerned, because they were asleep right next to the kitchen. They were in
Who
the
was asleep?
room.
How many babies did you have at that time?
Just the two. There was your oldest brother and you. That's what I said. You all were like Irish twins, just a few months apart. He was a year and something. You were 9 months or 10, maybe, if that many. But you were still being nursed. So I can remember you were not yet a toddler. And when I run into the house, and brother-in-law is way up in the front. You have the kitchen, and you have this dining room area with a let-out couch where they were asleep on it. Long hallway with bedrooms on either side, then the living room, and then you have a glass encased porch, which is where brother-in-law was. And now my brother is on the outside talking to brother-in-law. He's outside in the street just talking to him, and they're just talking like everything's okay. I'm like, y'all don't smell this? But I scoop up my babies and I run outside. And as I'm running around to the front of the house, I'm like, brother-in-law, y'all don't smell that? And he's like, hey, I didn't even, what? And he runs through the house and realizing what's going on, opens up all the windows in the house, and he realized what the culprit was. Every single one of the gas burners were on, the flames had been blown out, and all the knobs were gone. So he's trying to find a way to get each one of these turned off. And he's like this with something around his face, like, wow. And he's trying to get through. So imagine these two babies, 1 year and 9 or 10 months, in their sleep. So they could have just slept right into glory, actually. So after we got them out and brother-in-law got all the windows and was airing out the house, and they did realize what caused it to happen. Fortunately, that situation is being medically monitored even today. We won't go into that part of it, but it is something that he was a victim of something that happened to him, and my babies ended up almost being a victim because of that. But to God be the glory, because I am very sure to this day, if I had the flick of that Bic, I think it would have knocked all of us out of here. And not just that I wouldn't be here, he definitely would not be here today. So I'm grateful. So to have the opportunity to watch him become a writer of music and novels and short stories, and making music and playing multiple instruments and preaching the word and ministering and just all the things he does. It's so much. I can't even tell all of it, but I believe that God had his signature on him even while he was still just becoming a young toddler. So I'm grateful for that, and I'll put it back in your hands.
I'm grateful too. That's a good story. A lot of that I didn't know. I think sometimes Mom may tell us some stories when we're younger, and we may forget it as we get older. So I'm pretty sure I had heard some of this. I'm pretty sure, but just in some of the retelling, some of the details, maybe some of the things I didn't recall. But I appreciate my mom sharing that. That's essential. If you ever want to know something about your childhood, you need to go ask your mom, ask your dad, or go ask your grandpa, ask some of your aunts and uncles, and just see maybe they've got a story or a testimony or something that happened in your life in your childhood, a reason why you're still alive, where if that person wasn't there, or if my mom hadn't listened to that feeling that she had, or that what she'd heard, we all could have been gone. That explosion could have taken us all out. We appreciate you joining us for that special, very special Tale and Tune with TJ. So remember, in whatever state you find yourself, I believe and I know that these videos, these podcasts, is going to be helpful, and it's going to be health to your mind, to your body, and to your soul. Thank you again for viewing. Stay tuned for more.